Welcome to Caves and Cave Rescue Considerations of the Ncrc regions. The National Cave Rescue Commission consists of 10 regions. We'll begin with an address from our National Coordinator.
Hi there, my name is Anmar Mirza. I am the National Coordinator for the National Cave Rescue Commission. I'd like to do a brief introduction on what the NCRC is and what it isn't. I'm going to share my computer screen with you here for just a moment. So, with the NCRC, we have a number of functions, and I would like to say at the very beginning, we are a commission of the National Speleological Society. This is who is sponsoring these videos here. As a commission, we have several tasks that we work on. Primarily, we develop cave rescue training materials, and we teach that same material as well. We like to prepare people who serve on cave rescue teams. We will also interface with the agencies and the organizations that perform and support cave rescues. We call those the agencies having jurisdiction. We also maintain specialized equipment caches for use in training and the like. And on the times when we have real rescues, we will also have some of that specialized equipment that you might not find on a fire department or an ambulance, but are very specific to cave rescue. This point, though, is worth repeating. The NCRC is not a cave rescue response team. This is something that we commonly get asked about. Can the NCRC respond to this rescue? And the answer is simply no. We do help coordinate resources. So an agency having jurisdiction might ask us how we can get specialized equipment or personnel when they have a rescue to support that rescue. But we, as the NCRC, do not respond. In my home area, I'm involved with the Department of Natural Resources Cave Rescue team, as well as my home county, and other NCRC instructors and coordinators are also involved with that. Another thing to understand is that the NCRC is not a membership organization. You don't pay money to become a member of the NCRC. The NCRC only actually has 14 members, and those are our regional coordinators and our other coordinators as well. That comprises the board of regional coordinators, and that's who sets policy and kind of governs the operation of the NCRC. We do have a structure, and as that structure, we have the national coordinator, that's me. We also have other coordinators. We have a training coordinator, currently Dr. Roger Mortimer, who should have a separate introduction here. We have a medical coordinator, Dr. Brian Eakey, and a diving coordinator, Zeb Lilly, and as well as other regional coordinators. We do have the country broken up into regions, and as such, if you live in one of these areas and you have questions about cave rescue, you would contact that regional coordinator. So there's an example of our regions. We also not only cover the continental U.S., but Alaska and Hawaii as well, and Puerto Rico. And we also do trainings elsewhere as requested, but this is our specific regions. If you want more information, our website is very easy to remember. It's ncrc.info. We have a ton of resources available on there. If you're just interested in caving in general, caves.org, the NSS website, has excellent resources. Thank you very much for your time. Hopefully you'll enjoy the rest of our presentations.
Next, we will move to the Southeastern Region.
Hello, my name is Tim White, and I'm the Southeastern Regional Coordinator for the National Cave Rescue Commission, and I live in Chattanooga, Tennessee. Everyone is pretty much familiar with TAG, Tennessee, Alabama, Georgia, but along with these three states, Florida and South Carolina are also part of the Southeastern region. Here you can see the heavy density of caves in the TAG area. We have classic open-air pits. We have the classic deep pits. We have multitude of in-cave vertical pits, along with many complex caves requiring multi-drop and complex rigging. There are thousands of horizontal caves in the Southeast region. Many caves in the Southeast region contain streams that are considered wet caves. While Florida has a number of dry caves in the northern part of the state, most of the caves in Florida require specialized skills such as cave diving. In the TAG region, we have the great pleasure of having a number of highly trained and well-funded and well-equipped rescue teams. Walker County Rescue, being the oldest in the country, is a part of the Walker County, Georgia Fire Department. Here in Chattanooga, we have the Chattanooga-Hamilton County Rescue Service Cave Cliff Technical Team. In Knoxville, Tennessee, there's the Knoxville Emergency Rescue Squad that has a cave rescue team associated with that organization. Both Knoxville and Chattanooga are members of the Tennessee Association of Rescue Squads, and they fall under jurisdiction of their local emergency management agency. In Huntsville, Alabama, home of the National Speleological Society, the Huntsville Cave Rescue Unit performs cave rescues in that area, and they've been in existence since the late 60s. Up and coming is a new rescue team based in North Alabama called RATSAR that have a number of cavers who are being trained to perform rescue and support for that team. While the Southeast region does have trained, specialized cave rescue teams, these teams cannot conduct and perform cave rescues with just their personnel. Complex cave rescues or lengthy cave rescues require assistance and resources from cavers in the region who have had National Cave Rescue training. Classic open air pits may just require a simple mechanical advantage system set up to haul the patient out of the cave. The classic big pits, due to their depth, here you see a rescue occurring in fantastic 586-foot pit in Ellison's Cave, require a lot of manpower and resources to assist the cave rescue teams in lifting the patients from these deep depths. In-cave pits can range everywhere from complex rigging to very simple rigging. This is the top of the 125-foot warm-up pit in Ellison's, where cavers were assisting the cave teams in rescuing a patient from the depths of Ellison's Cave. Complex multi-drop caves obviously require complex rigging. This is a rescue in Byers Cave in North Georgia, where cavers with NCRC training assisted the cave rescue teams. Long horizontal caves may simply just require a multitude of people. This is a rescue of a young lady who broke her ankle in Tumbling Rock Cave in North Alabama. NCRC Southeast Region requested that local cavers who'd had NCRC training support the Huntsville Cave Rescue Unit and Chattanooga-Hamilton County on this rescue. Wet stream caves can require specialized skills such as sump diving. Here a sump diver is making his way into a cave to rescue a British sump diver who had become disoriented and separated from his partner. The dry caves of Florida are typically short and small and not very complex. Oftentimes, cave rescues in these caves can be conducted by NCRC trained cavers assisting the local authorities. But the flooded caves of Florida are so complex that NCRC actually has a diving coordinator whose role and responsibility is to liaison with the cave diving section to prepare and train specialized cave divers for this complex environment. For more information, you can contact us at NCRC. You can send me an email, or if you're interested in becoming involved in one of these rescue organizations, here's their contact information. Thank you for your time.
The Eastern Region includes the states of Pennsylvania, West Virginia, Virginia, North Carolina, Delaware, Maryland, and Washington, D.C. The regional coordinator is Tony Smith. Unfortunately, a video is not available at this time, but if you have questions about the Eastern Region, please email eastern@ncrc.info. Next, we'll hear from the Northeastern Region.
Hello, my name is Greg Moore. I'm the Regional Coordinator for the Northeast Region of the NCRC, and I've been asked to make this video to talk a little bit about my region. First of all, where we are, as our name suggests, in the northeastern United States. Our region covers New York, New England, and New Jersey. Geographically, we are the smallest region, and most of our caves do tend to be concentrated here in New York, with some over the border in Vermont and Massachusetts. There are a few caves in the other states, but they tend to be very small and not explored nearly as much. Most of our caves in the New York area, especially in the Albany-Schoharie County, where the bulk of the caves are, tend to be limestone caves. In Vermont and the Berkshires of Massachusetts, they tend to be marble caves, though there is some overlap and some caves exhibit both qualities. But there have been a lot of discoveries recently and a lot of fun stuff going on in this region. We have several preserves in this area. 3 of them are owned by the NSS. McPhail's Cave Nature Preserve is our longest cave here in New York. It is 6.7 miles, and it is a wetsuit-only cave, so that would present unique challenges if we ever had to do a call out there. It also has a vertical entrance. Schoharie Caves is a simple cave, but it is 1 to 3 feet of water the entire passage. Great beginner cave, unless your beginners are less than 3 feet tall. Gage Karst Preserve is home to Keyhole Cave, which I'll mention in a later slide. We have several caves owned by the Northeastern Cave Conservancy. I've mentioned 4 here. The top 2, Knox and Clarksville, are perhaps our most popular caves and where we do a lot of our training. Unesco Thaw is another cave only 1.5 miles or so from Clarksville, and is a cave that has a sinking entrance where we have had to do at least one rescue due to flooding entrapment. Most of our caves are horizontal, very little vertical here in New York. Our deepest vertical is about 85 feet, so if you're looking for lots of vertical, we're probably not the region to come to. So this means most of our rescues tend to be entrapments more than falls, and our caves tend to be rather tight. We do not use furnaces very often. If we do, it would be in a booming passage just to ease transport, but the truth is many of our entrances won't even allow us to bring a furnace inside. We use skeds. Every rescue cache around here has at least one sked in it, and even then some caves, such as Morris Cave in Vermont, would still be so tight we'd probably have to take a patient out to get them through a few obstacles. That said, 2 of my more recent rescues here have been fall related, so things can vary depending on the cave and the situation. We average 1 call out about every other year or so. If we have a busy year, that would be 2 call outs, and the last time that happened it was a dog, and it was handled within 24 hours of each other. Mention entrapments. Keyhole Rescue on the Karst Preserve I mentioned started on a Saturday and was not complete until Monday morning. In that case, the patient was only about 300 feet into the cave, but it took a trained rescuer 45 minutes to climb to the patient and use a air chisel to start to drill out some of the rock around the patient's knee. So you can see these caves can be very tight and involved. Searches tend to be very rare simply because our caves just don't tend to be that large and don't require searches. We may do a hasty search in and out, but that tends to be the extent of our search problems here in New York and New England area. We do a lot of training. We average about 1 OCR a year. We've started doing them more often, with 1 in New Jersey and 1 in upstate New York. We've also done them in Vermont in the past and look forward to doing them in other parts of our region if there's a request and we can find an adequate cave. We did our first small party assisted rescue in 2019. We were not sure what our interest level would be. We started at 12, ended up with 16 people and a wait list. We will do these more often. Last year we'd planned for our national week-long here, but due to COVID had to postpone it. But later in the year we decided, based on a number of factors, to attempt a modular level 1, which was quite successful, and we were able to use feedback from that to give other regions feedback on how to do a seminar during COVID. We will have the 21 National Seminar here in 2021 and hope you can join us, barring COVID. Finally, we're always up to folks checking us out. We'd love to have you cave safely in this region. My email is northeastern@ncrc.info, and the Northeastern Cave Conservancy URL is there. We look forward to having you and hopefully seeing you cave with us safely. Thank you.
Next up is the Central Region.
Hi, I'm Jessica Deli. I'm the Central Region Coordinator for the NCRC. Let me tell you a little bit about my region. So as you know, the National Cave Rescue Commission has a presence on Facebook. You can find Central Region's information there. So as you already know, the country is divided into multiple different regions, as you can see listed here, and we're part of Central Region. Central Region comprised of these states listed on the screen, and we provide a variety of training opportunities or liaison opportunities with agencies that have jurisdiction across the board with all of these different states. We have done trainings in about every state here in Central Region, hoping to still get Iowa and Ohio at some point in the near future. We do a variety of different types of trainings here in Central Region. The typical orientation in cave rescue is a 2-day orientation course that is providing fundamentals of cave rescue to both novice cavers, experienced cavers, as well as agency personnel who may not go into cave on a frequent enough basis. We also have developed a very specialized course here in Central Region called the In-Cave Emergency Exercises, or the ICE course. During this course, we have 3 different varieties of this course, but primarily what we do is the instructors and the very small group of students will spend an entire weekend in a cave learning a bunch of different techniques, from medical considerations to evacuation considerations in the event they're trapped in a cave overnight, or maybe a rescue takes longer than a couple of hours to complete. They have the means of figuring out how to handle a situation for a very prolonged time inside a cave. It's become very popular over the last few years, and we hope to offer many more. We also have specialized management courses that we've offered for agencies that have the jurisdiction during a cave rescue. These have gone over well with both the national parks as well as local agencies. We much support our national week-long that is hosted in a variety of locations across the country. We've even hosted multiple here in Central Region. In Indiana and Kentucky are our primary locations. We're also hoping to offer modular week-long courses where we don't offer the full gamut of the multiple different levels there are, but we do allow for a level 1 or maybe a level 1 and a 2 in a smaller format. There are also options for other customized courses in the event that they're needed. So some groups require or request training in vertical aspects. Some of them require special different types of management or medical considerations, and we offer these types of trainings as well. So that's a lot of information in a very short period of time. Central Region is not just composed of myself, the coordinator, but I have multiple instructors within NCRC that help out. They live all over the region. They volunteer their time just as much in order to make sure that the trainings and the information can get out to the greater caving community. I hope you've enjoyed this presentation and enjoy the rest of them, and hope to see you at a training soon.
We're going to head now to the South Central Region.
Howdy, my name is DJ Walker, and I'm the Regional Coordinator for the South Central Region of the National Cave Rescue Commission. Gretchen asked me to give a short introduction of myself and our region, and some things that happen in our region. So the caves in our region vary significantly across Oklahoma, Texas, Kansas, Arkansas, Louisiana, and Mississippi. The most densely populated states for caves are Texas and Arkansas, and many of the cavers in the central Texas area have a very close nexus to Mexico. The caves in our area, again, vary widely from multi-pitch wet caves to dry horizontal caves to small vertical caves to just kind of tight caves that a lot of projects are happening in. And then we also have some pretty significantly long caves that require cave diving and a lot of surveys going on in those kind of areas. As far as rescues go in the South Central Region, rescues are pretty rare around here. I attribute that to a number of things. I would say number one, our community, caving community here is very safe, very competent, squared away group of people. But when they do happen, I have assisted in coordinating with local resources to make sure that they get the cave rescue resources they need, be it cave divers or specialized cave rescue kind of people. But again, they rarely happen. From time to time, we assist some of our neighboring states, but they're pretty rare in the South Central region, and that's a good thing. As the regional coordinator, I have two main focuses. I've been the regional coordinator since the early 2000s, and in my tenure, I have maintained a strong focus on these two areas. First is to increase relationships between the caving community and the rescue community. I really want to develop, foster, and create those relationships so that when future incidents or accidents happen, that both groups know the advantages and the things that the other group bring to the table. I think it's very important that those groups work well together. The second thing that I've put a lot of time and energy into is providing high quality cave rescue training. And that training is primarily occurs in part of our regional seminar that we have once a year. And then real common, we'll do an orientation of cave rescue, usually once, sometimes twice a year. Speaking of that regional seminar, we typically host a pretty large week-long seminar around the first week in February. Do have to tell you that the 2021 is canceled. But very commonly we're told that we do have the best food at our seminar of any seminar that you would go to. We attract instructors and students from all over the United States, and most people in the week very satisfied. So I would encourage you to watch ncrc.info and our South Central Region Facebook page for future seminar announcements. If you need to get a hold of me, probably the best way to do that would be using southcentral@ncrc.info. Plus, as the future becomes the present and a new regional coordinator may take my place, that email address should reach whoever sits in the South Central Region as the regional coordinator. So reach out if I can do anything for you. I hope that's a good snapshot of what we do down here, and safe caving.
The Caribbean region includes Cuba, Puerto Rico, the Virgin Islands, Central America, and Northern South America. The regional coordinator is Roberto Bull Miranda. Unfortunately, a video is not available at this time. If you would like to learn more about the Caribbean region, please email caribbean@ncrc.info. Next, we'll go to the Southwestern Region.
Hi, my name is Sarah Truby, and I'm the Southwestern Regional Coordinator for the National Cave Rescue Commission. I'm here to share with you some caves and rescue considerations down in Arizona and New Mexico. To start us off, we have about 3,100 caves in New Mexico. 40% of those are in gypsum, 35% in carbonate rocks, 15% are lava tubes, and 10% are soil piping caves. And many thanks to my colleagues over in New Mexico for this information. We have some notable rescue challenges in New Mexico, including we have one of the world's longest caves, Lechuguilla Cave. It's just past 150 miles long. There was a recent symposium to celebrate this that you can find on the NSS YouTube channel, where you can learn about some particularly notable rescues that occurred in Lechuguilla Cave, as well as a summary of adaptations and mitigations by Andy Armstrong about what is done now to prevent future incidents in that cave. Also in New Mexico, we have Fort Stanton with Snowy River, one of the longest speleothem features in a cave. And it's also going to present some pretty serious rescue challenges in case of an incident in there. New Mexico is also known for Carlsbad Caverns. And in this particular cave, there could also be incidents because there are trips of folks off trail. And up in the northern part of the state, we have El Malpais, which is a bunch of lava tube caves, which could also lead to some pretty serious search challenges as well as other types of rescues. Over in Arizona, we have a saying which is no caves to speak of, but what that actually means is that we have 3,000 caves, rock shelters, earth cracks, and lava tubes. About 2/3 of those are in limestone. Others are, like I said, lava tubes or talus caves. Some are in mud or sand, and many we actually don't know the rock type for. Up in the Grand Canyon, we also have one of the nation's longest caves, and the Grand Canyon in particular has some particular rescue challenges because of the remoteness of the caves as well as the verticality. We do also have some show caves down in the southern part of the state, much less likely to be an issue for rescue, but you never know, something could still go wrong and require rescue pre-planning there as well. Some of the particular considerations that we have in the Southwest are that it's pretty hot down here, and so people can actually become dehydrated on the way to caves, either because they're walking at 105 degrees Fahrenheit or they went hiking in the Grand Canyon the day before. And there are numerous incidents in the American caving accidents that you can read about where people were pre-dehydrated for a cave trip and ended up causing an incident. It is possible for people to be both hyper and hypothermic on the same trip. Because of our highly decorated caves, there are a number of conservation concerns for rescue. And similarly, because of in the past there being some rescues that damaged caves, there now is quite a bit of secrecy, which occasionally makes pre-planning difficult. Other concerns we have is that particularly during our summer monsoon, caves can flood. We also have caves with bad air, either high carbon dioxide or low oxygen or some combination thereof. And we have a number of caves that are undeveloped, but have high visitation on the order of 10,000 or more people per year. And with that many people visiting caves, eventually there are going to be incidents. An additional challenge that we have in the Southwest is that we have about 20,000 other holes in the ground. This is not something that the National Cave Rescue Commission provides training for. However, when you're talking to an agency having jurisdiction for a rescue, they may wonder if their lost hunter fell into one of these holes as well. So it is something to be aware of. In terms of who's responsible for cave rescue in the Southwest, in Arizona, it's the county sheriff. In New Mexico, it's the state police, which means calling 911 is always the right approach. But of course, the National Cave Rescue Commission and the regional coordinators can help provide trained people and gear for those incidents. In Arizona, we've started a subject matter expert program where experienced cavers who have knowledge of particular caves can actually get about 24 hours of search and rescue training, which allows them to then volunteer without a whole bunch of paperwork if there is an incident occurring. We started a regional email list to stay up to date about training opportunities and scholarships. And we also started a paging system, which you can see a sample page to the right of the screen, where we can alert people if they are being requested by the agency having jurisdiction to respond to a cave rescue. And with that, you can see my contact information on the screen. I would be happy to take questions over email or phone after this presentation. And many thanks for joining us down here in the Southwest.
Let's head next to the Rocky Mountain region.
Thank you, and hello. My name is Andy Armstrong. I'm the regional coordinator for the NCRC's Rocky Mountain region. You can see from this map that the Rocky Mountain region is made up of 8 different states, and this is a very large area with a huge diversity of types of caves and caving. I live in Heber City, Utah. Here in Utah, we have deep caves like Main Drain, where cavers are going 1,300 feet underground and pushing sumps with diving gear. In Colorado, there are many caves and many cavers as well, so very active projects and sport caving throughout the state. In South Dakota, we have some of the world's longest caves like Wind Cave and Jewel Cave, which are over 150 miles long, and cavers go on multi-day expeditions inside. In Wyoming, we have some of the classic deep through trip alpine caves like Great Expectations and Fossil Mountain Ice Cave especially gets visited by lots of inexperienced cavers, and a history of rescues there. In Montana, a lot of the attention is on caves in the Bob Marshall Wilderness, where cavers are hiking in over 15 miles from the trailhead and pushing deep systems like Silvertip and Tears of the Turtle, which is currently the deepest known limestone cave in the United States. In Idaho, there are hundreds of lava tubes across the Snake River Plain and a collection of limestone caves in the mountains, including caves with perennial ice. So there are lots of caves, not as many cavers or even people in this region. And to illustrate that point, if you were to be seriously injured anywhere up in this northern part of the region, the closest level 1 trauma center is actually all the way in Salt Lake City, and people get flown all the way there in some cases. There are rescue teams scattered throughout the region, mostly county search and rescue teams, and cavers that are willing to travel these large distances to help out with a rescue. We have a commitment to provide especially small party assisted rescue training as this type of response is appropriate for most of our incidents. We also do a number of orientation to cave rescue trainings, and these are helpful in litter type carry-out rescues like the one in Little Brush Creek Cave in eastern Utah in 2018. And in that incident, we were able to dispatch rescuers from Utah, Nevada, Colorado, South Dakota, and had people on standby across the country. And the way that we facilitate that in the Rocky Mountain region is if you go to the ncrc.info site and go to staff, you'll see the regional coordinator information. And Rocky Mountain region here, you can see we have an emergency contact list link. And if you click that, it will take you to this page, which is hosted on the Salt Lake Grotto website. So you can also reach it from that avenue. And the way our call outs work is if you call 911 or the agency having jurisdiction first, then you can call me as regional coordinator. Sometimes I'm caving, and so if you don't reach me, you can leave a voicemail and move on to your state coordinator. And if you cannot reach that person, you just go down the line of state coordinators, and one of these people will be able to help facilitate you bringing resources to your rescue. And I just wanted to close by saying that in the Rocky Mountain region, what I'm most proud of is our system of volunteers of state coordinators, but also our volunteer instructors who are really the heart of the region. And 10 years ago, we only had a couple of instructors in the Rocky Mountain region, but through a concerted effort to get people through the instructor qualification training, and also being fortunate that several excellent instructors have moved to the region, we now have 12 active instructors, which is the largest group of any NCRC region. Our instructors are very active teaching here, but also in the last few years have helped out Pacific Northwest, Southwest Region, South Central, Southeast, and Eastern Region fairly regularly. And at the last national seminar that I attended, we actually had the largest group from any region helping out. And that's something we're very proud of and proud to help. And it's my honor to serve as your regional coordinator. And if you are a caver looking for training or for a rescue pre-plan, or if you're from a agency like a county search and rescue team, please reach out and we'll see what we can do for you as far as training and rescue preparedness in your area. Thank you very much.
The next region we'll visit is the Western Region.
Hello, my name is Gretchen Baker, and I'm the Regional Coordinator for the Western Region of the National Cave Rescue Commission. The Western Region covers the states of California, Nevada, and Hawaii. I like to say we've got it all. We may not be the largest region geographically, or have the most caves, but we do have thousands of caves in the Western Region. Some are grouped together like lava tubes, but we also have many scattered caves in remote areas that are very hard to get to, and so that plays a role into rescue considerations. There are a huge variety of different types of caves in the area, and we go from fire to ice. So let's dive right in, and I'll tell you a little bit more about some of the caves in the Western Region. We're going to start with Nevada. It is considered to be the driest state in the United States, but there is water in some of the caves. Not a lot of water. We've got some stream water that you have to crawl through. We also have water in the form of ice. There's the water table in places, such as Devil's Hole, where the bottom hasn't even been found. We have plenty of muddy caves. And in fact, I'd have to say our mud in the Western Region competes just as well as mud in other regions. And we have even slime pits full of a pack rat midden slurry to make your caving experience even more memorable. We have numerous vertical caves, including some that require multiple relays. Plenty of crawling. But we also do have some very large cave passages. Moving over to California, some of the caves are soil piping caves that are made in fairly soft materials and can change with every rainstorm. There are sea caves along the coast that during high tide you can enter some with kayak, and you have to be very knowledgeable about the tide so that you don't get trapped inside. There is water in other caves. There are talus caves at Pinnacles National Park. And you can find marble caves. In fact, Lilburn Cave is over 20 miles long and has multiple interesting parts to it, including stream passages. And then there are many lava tubes also. Some of the caves in both California and Nevada have seasonally high carbon dioxide levels, so that's a concern to be aware of. The lava tubes in the areas can also provide some challenges in figuring out which lava tube you're in because there are so many close together, and also anchoring can be difficult. Going over to Hawaii, there are so many lava tubes there, hundreds, and there is one that's over 40 miles long and covers over 3,000 feet elevation. There are places where you can walk across the lava landscape and fall into a lava tube, and no one may not even know about it for days. And I'm not just saying this theoretically, this actually has happened. And underwater, those lava tubes extend down into the ocean. You can don scuba gear and go caving that way. These show caves show you where some of the caves are in the area. In Nevada, in the eastern part, is Lehman Caves and Great Basin National Park. In California, there are 10 show caves, starting with lava beds up in the north, Lake Shasta Caverns, a whole grouping in the middle of the state, and then you can get down to Sunny Jim Sea Cave near San Diego. Hawaii also has a number of show caves on the island of Hawaii and on Maui. If you run into trouble while you are out caving in the Western region, first call 911, and then you can use the contact list that we have and contact me as the regional coordinator, and then we have sub-regional coordinators. I also encourage you to visit our website, ncrc-wr.caves.org, where you can find a lot more information about how to cave safely and what to do in case of emergency. Thanks for visiting the Caves of the Western Region with me.
Last but not least is the Pacific Northwest region.
Hi, my name is Eddie Cartaya. I'm the Pacific Northwest Regional Coordinator for the National Cave Rescue Commission, and in this block we're going to briefly go over the kinds of caves and rescue challenges we face here in the region. We cover Alaska, Washington, and Oregon. It's a very diverse cave region, so it's pretty hard to describe in a single overview the nature of our caves. We have lava caves, limestone, ice caves, which are either limestone or lava that have perennial ice packs in them, versus glacier caves, which are formed in the glacier ice masses on our volcanoes, marble caves, soil pipes, sea caves along the coast, and fissure caves along some of our larger faults associated with some of the volcanic areas. General rescue challenges in the Pacific Northwest. We have a lot of very remote areas, wilderness areas with long approaches, frequently, even throughout the year, snow, ice, snow machine, snowshoe, ski approaches, high alpine technical mountain access, which is why we frequently partner with the Mountain Rescue Association. Actually, most of the rescues are done through the MRA accredited teams up here and have caves rescue sections. Lava, rock, and ice both prevent very technical anchor challenges, sometimes simply because there are no real good anchors except for some cracks on the surface. And high currents of bad air due to the volcanic activity. The entire region is extremely volcanic with the Cascade Range going through it. The glacier caves and some of our lava caves have CO2, hydrogen sulfide, so to even survey in some of those you have to have full SCBA, and certainly the usual complement of air gas monitors and air purifying filters. Our rescue cache is definitely very well equipped for this sort of situation. On Oregon, between 1,500 and 1,800 caves estimated in the state. You can see in the picture there, red is the lava, so we have lots of lava caves. We do have a few limestone caves in the southwest corner, including one of our show caves, Oregon Caves National Monument, about 3.5 miles, so not very big, but very well decorated. Soil Pipe Caves in the east, like in the right-hand photo, and Glacier Caves, vicinity of Mount Hood by Portland. We also have Lava River Cave, which is another show cave at the Newberry National Volcanic Monument. Lava caves, of course, predominate the state. Some very long, large and small. Some are not so much fun to crawl through, but have their own beautiful types of formations. We do have quite a bit of open vertical conduits, like you see on the right there. Entry into magma chambers. A lot of the caves are accessible by collapses in the ceiling, which is the only way in and out. Water, we don't have a lot of streams in our caves, but we do have some flooded lava tubes, like you see. Actually, to visit them, you use kayaks and boats. One of them even has a little shipwreck in it. Of course, we have the sea caves along the coast, and the glacier caves are, in fact, very, very wet. You need wetsuits or dry suits to move through those. Glacier caves versus ice caves. You see on the right, a lot of our rock caves have perennial ice packs just due to the cold weather and the snow packs, versus the glacier caves themselves, which are formed in the ice masses themselves. Washington State also has a significant amount of lava caves. Some of these are very technical, requiring rebelays, J-hangs, and whatnot. We do have also a couple of show caves, actually just the one that I know of, the Ape Cave, which you see there with the tourists in them. And then the upper northern section there near Snoqualmie, we have a large cluster of marble caves on Cave Ridge, including one of our deepest ones, a cluster of about 20 caves. Also very technical and very cold. Of course, glacier caves of Mount St. Helens and Mount Rainier, one of the highest, actually it is the highest crater lake in North America, the Delhi Lake there in Mount Rainier. And Mount St. Helens, actually the Rainier Caves get a lot of visitation due to climbers taking shelter in them and exploring when they're stormed in at the summits up there. And of course, Alaska has limestone caves. It does have some lava caves scattered about in it in certain areas. Glacier caves, the Glacier Cave tours. There's several companies that offer tours through some of the contact caves there. Of course, Prince Wales Island is one of the most popular areas, famous mostly for the El Capitan Cave, the largest cave in Alaska, and home of the deepest limestone pit in the United States, 598 feet. So if you have any questions, feel free to give me a call. My phone number and emails are there. And thank you for your time and attention.
Thank you for joining us during this presentation of Caves and Cave Rescue Considerations of the NCRC regions. To learn more about the NCRC, please visit our website, ncrc.info.
What we have time for right now are some questions. So if you have questions, probably the best way is to put it in the chat, because we're going to see that faster than scrolling through the different pages. So if you have a question, go ahead and put that in the chat. And we have Roger Mortimer is here. He is our training officer for the National Cave Rescue Commission. We have Brian Eakey. He is our medical officer. We have Greg Moore, Northeastern Coordinator, Eddie Cartaya, Pacific Northwest Coordinator, Sarah Truby for the Southwest, and I'm here from the West. And is there anybody I missed that is a regional coordinator that's on right now? We also have numerous instructors, NCRC instructors on here too. So this is a chance where you can ask whatever you want about different regions and about NCRC, and we probably can find someone to answer your question. And while we're looking at some of these questions, so we've got a question from Jennifer Foote. How high is that glacier cave? So that goes to Eddie. Oh, you answered it. Great. 14,200 feet. Perfect. Okay, Phil, Southwestern or any region, what paging alert systems are you using?
Yeah, that's a great question. So we're actually being hosted by the Cochise County Alert Sense platform. So they use it for their emergency messaging, which means that we get to kind of hang on to that. So you're probably familiar with Alert Sense because that is a platform that can send things to fax, landline, email, a whole bunch of different types of media to get out to all y'all. So that's what we're using, and I'm happy to do demos of that for some of the other regional coordinators at some point. But right now it's just the Southwestern and Western regions are using that.
Yeah, and for Western Region, we just started in the last couple months, and it's been neat to have a system to try out, and we're very grateful to Cochise County. So the question is mostly a one-way system.
So actually, no, you can send out a poll, which is helpful to, you can send out a message that says, for instance, cave rescue at Pepper Sauce Cave. Can you respond in 2 hours, 4 hours, 6 hours, 12 hours? So you actually can get feedback through the system that way from your responders. But messaging, it doesn't do two-way messaging to my understanding.
Okay. Question, does the NCRC offer free cave rescue training? Roger, would you like to tackle that one?
Sort of. There are fees that are involved with putting on any official training, partly for insurance, which is supplied through our parent organization, the National Speleological Society. That said, there have been trainings done that have been paid for by grottos, or sometimes a region has actually eaten the fees because they've wanted to get some information out there. Typically, the fees that are asked for are pretty darn nominal anyway, and that's certainly the case compared to any for-fee training out there. The instructors are all doing this on a volunteer basis, and that makes a tremendous difference in the prices that are charged. So they're pretty nominal, and there have been free trainings. I know of them, but usually there's at least a small fee.
And I'll add in, I'm not sure if I was answering another question, Roger. If you mentioned, we do have scholarships often for week-long and regional training. So we're working out that for the national this year, but we have offered those in the past, and those typically cover about half the cost of the training. So that helps bring it down. And I know folks who've gotten the national scholarship and their own grotto has paid the other half, and all they've had to do is show up and bring their equipment and get good training.
Regions have supplied scholarships as well.
Okay, so we've got a bunch of questions about doing training in countries outside of the United States. And Eddie started off answering this because, yeah, we've done a SPAR in Canada, and he has one planned in Costa Rica. Mexico's also had some training there.
There's been one in Belize.
Okay. And any plans for India? So one of the things about, if you want to have cave rescue training in your area, what should a person do? Roger, I'm going to throw it to you.
Well, contact a regional coordinator. If you're from out of country and not bordering that region, probably contacting the national coordinator would be a good first step. There are challenges to doing it. Again, the instructors are generally pretty happy to do this for free, but we kind of like to be able to get to the country without paying out of pocket. That's probably partly negotiable, but those generate some fairly substantial expenses for long plane flights. An equally difficult obstacle is getting the gear necessary to put on a training on site. Now, a lot of times there is local gear, and we can work commonly with what you have if it's appropriate for a cave rescue type of setting. So those factors would need to be looked at, but we're willing to talk. So contact the national coordinator if you have a plan. We would need logistics set up on site by the locals hosting it, permission to use caves. We need to think about the gear because it'd be honestly fairly prohibitive to ship our gear cache there and ship it back, but it could be done.
And I also want to add something, and I'm not sure where the link is. I'll look for to find the email. The NCRC does have a international exchange program with other rescue programs around the world. We've done a couple of exchanges with instructors from Hungary, and we are looking at other options in the future. So there's that option for rescue teams that want to, learn from us, and we get a chance to learn from rescue teams in other countries.
Yeah, and we have a comment that Guam isn't in any of the regions. I'd be happy to annex it to the Western region. Maybe we can figure out a way to do training in Guam. I've wanted to go there.
It probably is yours.
Yeah, so we've had a bit of training in-person training has been on hold for a little bit due to COVID, but we're really hoping it'll calm down so we can start doing more training. Most of the folks who are in cave rescue instructors really enjoy instructing, and we like going all over to go see what different caves are like. And there are different challenges. In some places they're really hot and humid. Sometimes you're up on top of a mountain. You might have ice. You might have lava tubes. And you just might have streams going through them. So there are different considerations for doing rescues in different types of cave and different temperatures. And so even if you have taken some cave rescue training before, we encourage you to keep taking cave rescue training. For some reason, my poll is not working right now, but I had a question for you. And if you don't mind just putting it in the chat, that'd be great. I'm curious what cave rescue training have you had? So if you can just put in the chat what kind of cave rescue training you've had, that'll give us a little more idea of where folks are coming from. And yeah, it's totally fine if you've had no cave rescue training to put that down too, because that lets us know where you are. And one of the things that Roger mentioned is that the instructors usually we're paying our own way to get to places. So if there's a way to have some kind of agency help support it, that's great. In the past, Bat Conservation International has helped support the training of their employees. We've had other groups that if it's mainly their folks, that they will help support that. So, okay, so we're seeing all sorts of different answers in there. So fair number of nuns, and then we have some folks who have taken a whole lot of different trainings. Brian Ike, are you on? Would you be willing to talk a little bit about what your role is in the NCRC? He was on earlier, but I'm not sure if he had to take off. Oh, and so yeah, that's an interesting point. Old Mountain Rescue. Yeah, Zena, you're so nice. She says, don't let Iki talk, but we like hearing Iki. Old training changes. There's definitely new advances in the ways we do some of the training. And that's why we really encourage you to try to take some training at least every 5 years so that you can stay on top of the methods as they change. Okay. Other NCRC instructors, would you like to jump in and say anything here about why people should take training or what you've learned from teaching?
I'll jump in. As much as I love teaching level 2 and the other levels, I would say if you can only take one training, I really support the OCR. And the best feedback I ever got from students, and I've gotten it from multiple students, is it makes me a safer caver. Honestly, the best rescue is the one that we never have to do. And an OCR is typically a 2-day class. Most of us can squeeze that in there. It's pretty low cost. And hey, if it makes you a safer caver, all the better. Orientation for Cave Rescue.
We tend to use a lot of acronyms.
I'd mirror what Greg said. That was the first thing I learned. It made me a safer caver. After dragging a litter through a cave, you realize you don't want to be a part of that as a guest. So it starts making you think about contingencies, how to keep that from happening and how to solve your own problems if there's any way possible. So mirror what Greg said. Any kind of class you can take, small or large, I definitely recommend. It's worth the money and the travel and the time investment.
You can usually find out about the trainings on the ncrc.info page. We try to keep that up to date with what trainings are coming up. And then if you're within a region, if that region has a mailing list, then there often are emails that go out about that upcoming training. And yeah, I see some questions and answers about how long ago or how recent does your training need to be. And so generally you need to have it within the last 4 years to be able to progress to the next level on. So yeah, if you ever are a mock patient in a litter, it teaches you a lot. You realize that you don't want to be in there for very long. And I actually encourage everyone to give it a try, because it's much better to be in that litter if it's a mock rescue rather than if it's a real rescue. So, ride in it for a little bit and that might convince you to be a safer caver overall. So, okay. Sarah.
Yeah, so
have you jump in.
Yeah, I was going to say, we can happily continue this discussion for a little bit longer. Unfortunately, about 12 minutes ago, I got a text from Andrew that said that they just lost power and they're in the middle of a snowstorm. And so we just very rapidly tried to come up with a plan where he could send me his presentation, which has a bunch of embedded videos. It's not going to work. So he's going to record it for us and we can release it on our YouTube channel at some point later, or have him give a live presentation later. But in the meantime, I do have, I'm going to paste a link in the chat for anybody who wants to get a taste of what his presentation is about. He was stuck in a cave for about 14 hours. And the version of this presentation that I've seen in the past actually dives into cognitive debiasing strategies for critical time-sensitive decision-making in austere environmental emergencies. So if that sounds like something that you would be very interested in, for sure, watch the NSS YouTube channel. We'll get it up on there, and or we will include it at a later date during one of our later presentations in this session. So I am so sorry, but I did not plan for snowstorms being from here in Arizona, but now I've learned that lesson, and we will make sure that this doesn't happen again during the series. So Gretchen, it's totally up to you. If people have more questions, we'd be happy to keep chatting for a little bit, but Andrew is not going to be able to join us this evening.
So yeah, we just need to learn how to control the weather, I guess.
If anybody ever gets to see Andrew's presentation, you should. It is mind-blowing.
So
I've got a question.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I was in a litter one time going up a cliff, and I always say to myself, always have one arm out for me and one arm in the litter for the practice. What does the rescue people think about that idea? Because when I was going up the cliff, they had a rope anchor break, and I dropped about, well, I don't know how many feet it was, but it was nice to have an arm out there to catch yourself when you're falling and you're tied up in a litter. So what do they think about that?
Generally, if you're the mock patient, you get to choose how you want to have your arms. So if you want to have one in and one out, that's allowed. If it's a real situation, it's going to be based on your medical condition, which medical condition also includes a bit of psychological condition. So we understand that people like to have a little bit of control. So there often are options.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Should we have other questions? Yeah, we can hang out here for a little bit and answer other questions, or share stories if you've been in a litter and want to do that. I see someone's got a raised hand. So Stephanie, go ahead and unmute yourself and ask your question.
Sorry, this was a lot to type. So I heard that last question about having your own medical condition. I have been in exactly one wild cave, so I am very, very new, and a friend turned me onto the caving podcast out of Indiana the other day because I'm interested in cave diving, but I have a bleeding disorder, kind of like hemophilia. And aside from just staying out of the caves entirely, I want to make sure that I am in the best position to be of help to other people if something were to go wrong. What level of caving experience would you need to take that basic class?
To take the orientation to cave rescue, is open to anyone. You need zero experience.
Yep. And then if you want to take the level 1, which is the week-long class, then you have to meet some prerequisites, which is to be able to put on your ascending gear and be able to ascend up the rope, do a changeover, and come back down. And to do that within a certain time period. And then you have to tie a certain number of knots. And actually, you can get all those prerequisites on the ncrc.info page. It will tell you exactly what you need to know to get into that week-long class. But if you just want to take that weekend class, that's a great place to start, because then you start seeing how it works together. You start doing the teamwork. You learn how to do basic search in the cave, how to handle the litter, how to package someone in it, and you cover a little bit of medical, a little bit of psychological. So it's just a really fun class.
And I'll add too, reach out to your local regional coordinator. I've done training in my area to prepare people for week-long classes. Hold on, let me make a quick change here. So we're always willing to help out. I did a week-long class last fall where we had, I think it was 9 medical students who had never been in a cave before, and we got them through the class and they rocked it. And so yeah, we will do whatever we can to help you out. If you want to learn, we will make it happen.
Great, thank you.
Okay. Great, I'm seeing some good. Yes, go ahead.
This is Will on Zena's account. I just wanted to say something real quick in response to Stephanie. You asked what you could do and how you could get training to help out, and you mentioned you had some limitations. That doesn't mean you can't be a really valuable person in a cave rescue scenario. These operations are so complex that we need communications people, we need all kinds of command staff, et cetera, et cetera. So it's not always the easiest job in some respects is being the guy hanging on the rope doing the hero pose. The most complicated and perhaps most important jobs are like running communications and things like that. So when you come to an OCR or level 1, you'll see that there's a lot of variety of roles you could fill in a real operation.
Okay. And so, yeah, there's a national seminar every year that includes all the levels. So that's a week-long course. And then, as it's been mentioned in the chat, there are often regionals. So the South Central has a regional level 1 and level 2 every year, except this year because of COVID. And then other regions will put on periodic training. So Roger, why don't you talk about some of the training you've put on in the past?
In Western Region?
Yeah, in the Western Region.
We have done a number of OCRs. We try to do about one a year. Typically, we're doing one in Crystal Cave in Sequoia each year, but that was largely sponsored by the Natural History Association for their incoming employees, and we include cavers as well. We have done training at lava beds at least 3 times. And that is a great site for doing a level 1 in the lava tubes there. We have done a week-long in Sequoia Kings Canyon. And we have done some modular stuff in Southern California in association with the San Bernardino Cave and Cliff team so that they could get some training for their people, but also included cavers as well. So we've trained all over the state. We've done OCRs in Nevada, and we have done at least, I think, 2 OCRs in Hawaii. It's been a while on those, but they have happened.
And let's see, Sarah. Sarah's been doing some training also. You want to mention some of that?
Yeah, well, since I became regional coordinator, I started proxying early for the previous regional coordinator, and we did 2 orientations to cave rescue in 2019, one in southern Arizona and then one in southern New Mexico. Since then, we haven't done any in-region trainings just because of the COVID situation, but we are hopeful that we will be able to run a regional level 1, level 2 week-long by the end of this calendar year. But of course, we're keeping an eye on conditions to make those decisions. We also do a lot of kind of smaller scale trainings, half day or full day sessions with particular rescue teams that are interested in some cave rescue awareness. And that's kind of where we're at right now. Eventually, I hope to have at least one orientation to cave rescue per year in the region, rotating through various locations, and then more frequent level 1, level 2 classes in the Southwestern region. So y'all can come down and visit us and see some of our caves down here.
Excellent. And I thank you for the lovely invitation to come to Puerto Rico. We do hold training down in Puerto Rico also, and it's a wonderful place to go and do training. You get wonderful food down there too. Renee, I see your face. Would you like to talk about some of the training that goes on in your region?
Sure. Yeah, up here in South Dakota, with COVID, we haven't been doing much recently, but for a while there, we had some momentum going where we were doing a class about once a year or so, primarily at either Wind Cave or Jewel Cave. And so we've done some OCRs, we've done some other non-NCRC kinds of rescue trainings that were just very, very specialized for those Park Service staff. And then we've done some regionals here too, where we had a level 1 and level 2. And yeah, it's a lot of our trainings here are very focused on whatever the folks that are here want to learn about. And that's one great thing about those OCRs is they can be customized for your rescue team and your needs and what happens in that type of caving environment wherever you are across the country.
Great. Thanks, Renee.
Yeah.
Will and Zena, would you like to talk more about Eastern Region training?
Sure. Zena, you want to say anything or should I say it? All right. So anyway, we're over here. Hey. So Tony Smith is a coordinator. Tony's, I don't think, on tonight. Brew Randall's on here and some other Eastern Region folks, a few Blacksburg folks. Eastern Region usually runs 1 or 2 OCRs a year. And you can find out where those are on the Eastern Region page. Of course, everything's been kind of slowed down because of COVID. We had a modular level 1, level 2 scheduled to start at the same time as the pandemic and pandemic 1. So we didn't have that last year. We're looking to reschedule a level 1, level 2 in Eastern Region, and that'll be a modular. So it's the week-long course, but it's offered on weekends. It's something similar to what Greg did up in New York earlier in 2020. So, stay tuned for those trainings. And if there's there's interest, other things can happen if you're in Eastern Region. Again, contact Tony Smith, say, hey, we're here, we want a training. If you're down in our area, you can talk to folks around Blacksburg and, we'll coordinate with Tony to make something happen. But again, we're kind of like, sort of this level 1, level 2 we're planning to run. We want to run it when we don't have to deal with too many COVID restrictions because we tend to get a lot of people and traveling for the weekends. And that's kind of frowned upon right now. Virginia's done pretty well with COVID and we want to keep it that way.
Right. Carrie Bull, would you mind talking about some South Central Region trainings?
Sure. So in the South Central Region, as DJ said, we have a level 1 and level 2 every year. We've also had a SPAR on that regional training for the last few years. We've been trying to have an OCR a year as well. And as DJ sort of alluded to, someday he's going to move to Georgia. And so he's been trying to pass some of that other organization stuff on to the younger generation of cave rescue folks over here. And so Casey England and I have ran the last OCR and are planning to start trying to run some more as soon as we can get back in caves. That's about all we do right now. And we're looking forward to having another regional in 2022. And then we're also hoping that the Southwest region has their regional in November so that we can all go and support them for that. You're welcome, Sarah. if anybody was really sad that they didn't get to come to Colorado Bend State Park this year and join us for our regional, then we highly recommend that you come over to Arizona with us in November and attend the Southwest Regional.
Great, thank you. Eddie, you do possibly more training than any other instructor in a year, which says a lot. I know I've spent like 4 weeks of a year just doing NCRC training, but I know that you sometimes spend even more than that. So you want to tell us a little bit more about some of the training that you put on?
Yeah, we usually do it. If we have a standard OCR, we do it Oregon Caves National Monument every year. Again, we also go to all the other nationals. I've been to a lot of different regionals. This year we were able to put on an Alpine OCR up at Fossil Mountain Ice Cave. You heard Andy Armstrong talk about earlier. That was a really good, wilderness-based class. And then we did our standard week-long 6-day spar here in the Pacific Northwest in August. We just had to do a lot of COVID mitigations, a lot of things we don't normally do, but it was successful. Didn't have any fallout after that. And then we do a lot of smaller orientations for like fire departments and actually even sheriff's departments, going into a lot of our lava tubes here about every other month or so. Unfortunately, the European Cave Rescue Association and International Commission of Alpine Rescue, which NCRC is our delegates for, were canceled because of COVID. That's normally we present a lot of seminars and things there, so hopefully that'll all be back, next fall if COVID, goes away, like we all hope it does.
Great. And it looks like Greg Moore and the webmaster have been able to fix the ncrc.info website. So if you want to get on that, you can now. And Greg actually pulled off a modular level 1 not too long ago. Would you like to mention that, Greg?
Sure. Sorry, I was just talking to my son here fixing the web page. He's chiding me for I shouldn't be making webmaster changes since he's the webmaster. Quite seriously, yes. So last fall, we did do a modular here. For a number of reasons, we had a lot of interest. And it was actually interesting. Like I said, I reached out to a medical student at a local medical college, and she goes, "Don't worry, I've got 8 people for you." And I don't know if she's got blackmail on them or what, but she got 8 people signed up within about 48 hours from the college. Though one of them signed up for the NSS, not the National Speleological Society, but the National Space Society. So, but in any case, we did do a modular, which was basically 3 weekends, but we separated it apart with a weekend in between. That gave a chance for as medical students, they could do their rounds and attendings and all that, but also so we keep an eye on any spread of COVID. We had strict COVID protocol measures, and we actually did a portion of the classroom training via Zoom, which was a new experience for us. So we actually were able to record those as we gave them, and we had 1 or 2 students who couldn't attend it live. They were able to watch the recording and catch up on it. But it also gave us a chance to test out the site that we hope to do the national at, and we took all the lessons learned from this in terms of how to handle at least a small seminar during outbreak, and fed that back to our BORC regional coordinators so that hopefully, if COVID continues to be an ongoing presence, we can still somehow get some training in safely. And I'm proud to say that none of our instructors, staff, or students came down with COVID during that training. So it was pretty successful on our end.
Good. So there have been some questions about how do you get on to a listserv to find out about training? The listservs are generally done by the regions, so you have to contact your region. So for the Western region, we actually have an NSS Western Region listserv, and we put our NCRC upcoming events onto that listserv. But you can always check out that ncrc.info. We also we may even try to do some kind of email list out of all the people who have been attending this. We'll talk about it and see if that might be a way to try to get the word out more too.
We do also have a Facebook page if you use Facebook. That seems to be a way that a lot of people are getting information these days. So I'm pretty sure that NCRC has a couple, or at least some of the regions have Facebook pages, and we could be publicizing things through there as well as through the NSS pages.
Okay, any other questions? Otherwise, we'll wrap it up and 2 weeks, we have 2 more presentations. Bonnie Armstrong will be talking about what she's learned as the American Caving Accidents editor and some takeaways you can have by analyzing the past data. And then we also have Rebecca Land-Segrist doing a talk about patient care. She's a nurse and has worked in all sorts of interesting places, and so and she's been a long time instructor. So we look forward to having you come back for that. Tell your friends we're so glad you came tonight. Even though we had some hiccups for sure, we appreciate you being here, and I can now say I've co-hosted a Zoom meeting with more than 100 participants, which can be a little daunting, but hey, you just flow with it, right? So, but yeah, we sure appreciate you spending your time with us tonight, and cave safely and think about caves, and we'll see you in 2 weeks.